Hi, this is Miss Bailey, and I would like to introduce you to Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots. This is a graphic novel based on the book series The Bailey School Kids. In this series, students encounter regular people in their community, like a custodian or a camp counselor, who may or may not be a mythical or supernatural being, usually like a werewolf or a dragon. In this first graphic novel, we meet the third grade students at Bailey Elementary. And so far, they have caused nothing but trouble for their teachers, which means a lot of new teachers have come and gone. But then the students get another new teacher, Mrs. Jeepers, and something just seems slightly strange and maybe even creepy about her. She's definitely not like the other teachers. It even seems like she can hypnotize students. Could she really be a vampire? The Bailey Elementary students are on a mission to find out.
Billy and the Mini Monsters is a short book by Anna Davidson with lots of illustrations by Melanie Williamson. Are you afraid of the dark? Well, Billy is, and he's trying to stay awake because in the dark is when his imagination runs wild and he imagines that night creatures must come out. When he does finally end up falling asleep, he is awakened by a strange noise. The next morning, there are purple footprints on his bookcase, a terrible smell coming from his sock drawer, and a weird, bite-sized chunk missing from his tie. Billy needs a plan to figure this out. But can he overcome his fears and put his plan into action? The adorable and funny mini monsters are the stars of this fun read.
Hi, I'm Miss Joanne, and I'm here to tell you about this book, Desmond Cole, Ghost Patrol, and the Haunted House Next Door. This is the first book in the series, and it's about Andreas Miedoso, who just moved into his new home in the town of Curseville. He went into the new house and looked around. Even though there were boxes everywhere and the furniture wasn't where it was supposed to be, the house was normal and boring. Even Andres felt he was normal and boring. Andres Miedoso liked normal and boring. Andres's normal, boring life was turned upside down when strange things started to happen in his new home. When he tapped on the wall tapped back. One evening in the middle of the night, Desmond awoke to find that his room was so cold he felt like he was in a freezer. Can his new neighbor, Desmond Cole, help Andres with the crazy chaos happening in the new home? If you like creepy, ghostly stories, Desmond Cole, The Ghost Patrol, The Haunted House Next Door is the book for you. And if you like this book, you will like the other books in the series. Enjoy all of them by Andres Miedoso.
The next book I want to recommend is a spooky nonfiction collection of scary stories called Don't Read This Book Before Bed by Anna Claybourne. Do you love a good scare? Solving mysteries? Are you brave enough to hear the truth about some pretty freaky phenomena? Well, then this is the book for you. From haunted hotels to blood-sucking bats to spooky urban legends, this book is full of hauntingly true stories from all around the globe. And to prepare yourself for each story has a fright-o-meter next to it, warning you of just how spooky the tale you're about to read is. So anywhere from a 0 level spooky to a level 10, so you can kind of gauge how scary a story might be. Well, one of my favorite stories was that of the Island of Dolls. So this one was a pretty spooky tale, all about an island set outside of Mexico, where everywhere you look, the trees are filled with abandoned baby dolls, hung up over the years to keep a vengeful spirit of a young girl at bay. And after reading the tale, it's up to you to decide. Do you think there was ever really a ghost? Or was this all in someone's head? Well, either way, it was pretty spooky. Full of thrills and chills, this book has something for everyone. from great ghost stories to some pretty fun quizzes scattered throughout. I recommend that you read this if you dare. But don't say I didn't warn you.
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Bailey and I want to share Helsing Vampire Hunt. This is all about a vampire hunting pig. Need I say more? But seriously, if you like Dogman or the High-Low series, you will want to check this graphic novel out. So Helsing is actually a spoof off of Van Helsing, which, if you remember, was a character featured in Hotel Transylvania and has been a character in many other horror stories, who is a vampire monster hunter. So now Ham comes from a long line of monster hunters in his family. But all of those before him, unfortunately, have met their awful end, which is to say that they have all died by making very, very dumb mistakes, such as like jumping without looking where they're going. So Ham likes to write poetry and paint, but now he finds himself the last pig standing. He is the only one left to take up the family legacy. So he heads to a town that had placed a help ad for a vampire problem. But Ham encounters that there's more than just danger on this mission. He realizes what it means to truly be brave, and he also learns that it's really nice to have a good group of friends supporting you and, helping you hunt down a vampire. There's a lot of twists that you won't see coming at the end. And Helsing Vampire Hunter is a great mix of humor, adventure, with just a little bit of spookiness thrown in. Happy reading.
Hi, Miss Beth here, ready to talk to you about some spooky stories. This is The Kids of Cattywampus Street by Lisa Jahn-Clough. It's fantasy, but it's also like a series of short stories about a bunch of kids who live on Cattywampus Street. Weird things happen on that street. It's great for if you're a fan of Lemony Snicket, or you like Roald Dahl, or if you like Louis Sacker's Sideways Stories from Wayside School. Each chapter tells a tale about one of the kids from that street. Some of the stories are a little wacky, a little strange. Some are magical, and there are a couple that are sad. There are some spooky ones that might be a little scary, but the author does give you fair warning that it might be a little scary, so if you wanted to skip that one, you could. The kids will know each other, and sometimes they appear in each other's stories. The stories are very short, and there are some really cool pictures in here as well. So it does make for a fairly quick read. Okay, and that's The Kids of Cattywampus Street.
Mr. Shivers by Maxwell Brallier is a series of 3 books with scary short stories. In the Mr. Shivers book, Shadow in the Woods and Other Scary Stories, the first story is Shadow in the Woods. It's about a boy named Hugh. Hugh hates walking through the woods in the dark, but it's the only way home from school. Older kids say a monster lives in the woods. The monster has fangs and may call out your name. If he does, run! That's what the older kids tell Hugh. Hugh usually walks home with a friend, but on this day he's alone. Is there really a monster? Will Hugh be safe? Another story is Fingernails. In this story, Tommy loves chewing his fingernails. They are dirty and jagged. One day, Grandmother says to Tommy, "Stop that!" And Tommy promises to stop chewing his fingernails. Read to find out what creepy thing Tommy does to keep his promise. If you like scary, creepy stories, read Shadow in the Woods, Fingernails, and all of Mr. Shivers' short stories.
Welcome to Sueño Bay on Roberts Island in the Pacific Northwest, where the claim to fame is that they're the home of supernatural creatures. I'm going to tell you about Shadow Island, the first book in the Sueño Bay Adventures, a graphic novel by Mike and Nancy Deas. I'm going to start by telling you about the characters. First, the main character is Oliver. Since his parents' death, Oliver has been passed from relative to relative and is now living with his grandfather in Sueño Bay. He's not enjoying his stay and is ready to head back to the mainland. Kay is his classmate and longtime Sueño Bay resident. Jenna is another one of Oliver's classmates. She likes to follow the rules. And then there's Sleeves, Jenna's little brother. Ms. Grundle is the grouchy gym teacher. And this cute guy is Conkers. Is it a strange raccoon or a moon creature? So the adventure gets started when Ollie's classmate Kay takes him to a trailer rumored to be haunted. Jenna and her little brother Sleeves tag along too. It turns out that the trailer belongs to their grouchy gym teacher, Ms. Grundle. But what are the strange creatures in her trailer? And what is she doing with them? When one of the creatures stows away in Ollie's backpack, he and Kay try to return it. And you guessed it, the strange creature is Conkers. While they head off to Ms. Grundle's trailer, they need to wait for her to clear out. And while waiting, Conkers goes from sweet and cuddly to mean and vicious. And then, with the help of some crystals back in Grundle's trailer, back to sweet and cuddly. They also learn that Grundle found Conkers on another nearby island called Shadow Island. Ollie and Kay decide to return Conkers to his home, but Grundle is hot on their trail. Will they make it to Shadow Island? And what about the monsters rumored to be living there? Try this fast-paced graphic novel with relatable and interesting characters and amazing artwork that makes you feel like you are part of the adventure.
Hi, my name is Miss Sarah, and I want to tell you guys about one of my favorite spooky reads for 3rd and 4th graders, and that is this series, Vlad, the World's Worst Vampire. So this story follows a young vampire Vlad and his family, called the Impalers, who live in a place known as Misery Manor. It's not too pleasant. Well, Vlad's family is one of the scariest vampire families around. All except for Vlad, who really isn't scary at all. In fact, Vlad gets scared of the dark, and he wants nothing to do with being a vampire. All he wants is to make real friends, like the characters in his favorite book series, Jollywood Academy, the best school in the world. Well, his family can't quite understand this. They want Vlad to become an awesome vampire. They want him to turn into a bat. They want him to scare people and drink blood. Vlad doesn't want any of that, though. Just friends. That's all he really wants. But since his family can't understand, he has to come up with a plan. So he decides he's going to sneak into a human school, and he's going to make friends for real this time. But when his pet bat decides to follow him along, keeping his secret that he's a vampire from all his new human friends might have just gotten a little bit more tricky. And keeping his human friends secret from his vampire family, well, that might be a lot more tricky too. Life just got a lot more complicated. This is an awesome series for any fans who like things a little bit spooky, but not too scary. Plus, if you enjoyed the first book, the second book is already out. Vlad, the World's Worst Vampire, Fantastic Friends. Give it a shot.
Next, I have 2 books. These are by Jess Keating, and you may be familiar with Cute as an Axolotl, which was a Nutmeg book a few years ago. So now she's getting into the world of weird animals. What makes a monster? So some animals can be downright creepy or scary. The first one here is called an aye-aye, and they are called the demon primate. It has very dangerous tools. Its hands can claw the trunks of trees makes a tapping sound to find prey. They make a really weird sound. I won't give you too much information, this way you can read it. Another scary one is a horror frog. This one can break its bones and poke it out of its skin to get away from a predator. And then we have the cordyceps fungus, which will insert itself into an insect and makes it more like a zombie. Okay, so lots of creepy things in there. I do have another one I want to share. This also just Keating, gross as a snot otter. So not as scary, but they are kind of gross. You like gross things. All right, so there's the snot otter, which really isn't snot, it's just mucus. And it is a salamander, not an otter. Okay, things that you wouldn't think are so gross. All right, here is a hagfish. Hagfish are quite gross, and they spit up this mucus when you catch them in the ocean. They're really kind of gross. And then we also have a Suriname toad. This one lays its eggs on it. The eggs are laid, and then they put them on the back, and then the toadlets or tadpoles hatch right out of its skin. Really kind of gross. Okay, so those are a couple of new books that we have here. If you really like weird animals, this would be great.